Hey, this is Maz with FightBookMMA.com, and we've got Kari on the line here for with us. And Kari, tell us about your role in this movie, Fight Valley Knockaround Girls. What's this movie about?
Well, the movie is about a group of girls who sort of grew up on the streets, kind of fighting to survive. Really, that's just how it is where they live, and they're part of New Jersey. And I play Yanni in the film, and the story is sort of centered around a girl, Tori Coro, who is killed, and her group of friends and her girlfriend that she had are sort of looking for answers, and then her sister comes back to also kind of try to solve what happened because no one was there when Tori was murdered. And Yanni is the one in the group that I guess she's kind of like the old wise bird sometimes. She's a little hesitant to sort of welcome Tori's sister back into the group. She's very, she's kind of quiet, you know, she's sort of quiet until something needs to be said, and then she tends to be a little loud and rough around the edges, I guess. So that's kind of the character of Yanni in the film. It was interesting for me in filming between, you know, I had the script, all the changes for probably at least 6 months.
Oh, wow.
And so I've seen every version of this script that existed. And you know, you build this character in your head of what she's going to be and how she's going to look and move and sound. And when I got there, it's strange just once you're in a room with all the other people and interacting with each other, what the character really becomes. And she became much meaner and rough than I think even I had envisioned her. So I'm actually curious to see now what it looks like on the screen because I think she's so much different than even what I had seen in my head before we started filming.
That's a wonderful experience as an actor to get to discover even more than you thought you were going to when you were initially putting the idea of the character together. You sort of like
Definitely.
pieces of it as you go. That's really exciting.
Yeah, it was a great process.
Right on, right on. So did you need to train any martial arts in preparation for this role?
You know, I talked to Rob. I had done a little Krav Maga a few years ago, just for me, you know, just it was something I was interested in. But coming up on filming, I had talked to Rob about Rob Hobbs, the director. I had talked to him about, you know, maybe getting back into that, and then he said, well, you know, really for your character, you know, I think boxing is more her style, like, because she's a little more like kind of, I guess. I don't want to say like old school, but you know, she's very like street.
Right.
So he said, you know, let's do boxing for her. And so friends of mine, King Hollis here in Dallas, where I live when I'm actually home. You know, I reached out to him, and he runs a show called The Undercard, and it's a boxing show, and I said, you know, where would be the best place to go? And he referred me to Maple Avenue Boxing Gym in Dallas, and they train like all levels of fighters. I mean, they have regular, you know, just classes for regular people. They have children's classes, but they train professional fighters as well, some really good ones. And so I reached out to Arnie over there, and they actually took me in for a few weeks leading up to filming. I was over there like 4 or 5 days a week. You know, doing different classes and one-on-one training, and it was an invaluable experience. I think I owe so much of my character to that experience, and I think not for the reasons that people would think, like, oh, because there's so much fighting in this film. There really is. It's constant. But that's not actually why it was so invaluable to me. I mean, obviously, I enjoyed learning all the technique and everything, but my character is a street fighter, so like. When she fights, it's just, you know, people jumping on your back and you're flipping people over and it's chaos. But for me, it helped. You know, I'm a bit of an introvert, like in my normal life, and I'm very hippie, like to each their own, and non-confrontational unless I have to be. Right. And so the boxing classes sort of like made me enjoy hitting things and being comfortable with the idea of being angry, and also, in addition to that, you know, the group classes are really good for me because, like, in the film, Yanni is part of this group of girls that are like her sister, and they do everything together, and they fight together. And the class really helped me sort of get that group dynamic going in my head. So there was just a lot, like not just on the physical aspect with like the strength training and the boxing and everything, but on the mental aspect for me, taking those classes that really had a huge impact on my character.
Wow. And I'm sure you're going to take like a huge piece of this character with you now, especially knowing that you have the ability to sort of, engage in a situation in a physical manner and be okay and be able to help somebody if you can, you know?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I've had so much fun with the character. She's unlike anything I've ever played before, and I really enjoyed. Well, one, I really just enjoyed. I enjoyed the fact that she was sort of mean. I play a really good mean person. I really do. Like I was very proud of myself. No, she's very, she's very physically strong and mentally strong, and I loved playing that kind of a character. So I definitely now, as I move forward, that's something I think I'll be aiming more for, and I think that everybody.
That's exciting.
Oh yeah, it's very, very exciting. I think everybody was really happy with it, so I'm glad that I was able to pull it off.
Hold on. Now, there's a number of professional fighters in this movie, namely Misha Tate, Chris Cyborg, and Holly Holm. What was it like working with them?
I have to say, it's I'm one of those people. I never try to let preconceived notions of anyone impact what I think, because it's so unfair. And sometimes the media can be unfair, and what you read is so ridiculous. And when I met them, they are the nicest, most beautiful, talented, patient women I have had the pleasure of working with. I can't say anything bad about any of them. I mean, they live very busy lives. Just I'm an actor, so I've had lots of time to this is what I focused on. But they're training for fights, and they have so much other stuff going on, and so they fly in, and they're thrown into this mix. We had already been shooting 2 weeks when they got there, and so I'm sure that for them that's a little bit intimidating almost, because it's like walking into a room full of people that have already been there talking about you before you got there.
Right. It's an art form that you're not an expert in, and especially the high level performance athlete that they are, it's got to be a little daunting not to be in that position of complete control.
Exactly. I mean, I can't imagine. That's like if I walked into, a fight ring and I was supposed to fight my first fight, and they were in there, I would be so intimidated. But yeah, they were all just really gracious and kind, and they all really wanted to, learn about, being in film and being a better actor and how to portray their characters. And yeah, just really great women. No ego at all, not with any of us, not between each other either. I was really pleasantly surprised with just how well we all got along.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question, because I mean there have been talks about perhaps Misha and Cyborg fighting. So I was wondering if there was any sort of tension in that regard between them when they were on set.
I can't say I saw any tension whatsoever between them. I don't live in their minds. I don't know. Mm-hmm. They came out there to make a movie, and they did it, and they had from what I can tell, everyone had a really great time. There was a lot of interaction with everybody. They were there to make a movie. They weren't there to fight. They're fighters by trade. I have no doubt that I can't imagine that every fighter that fights someone in their career hates the other person that they're fighting. I'm not a fighter, but yeah, I think, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure, that's what they do for a living. If they said they had to fight each other, I'm sure that they could. But I think that, while they were making our film, that's what they were there to do. And they, enjoyed the time that they had together to do that.
Oh, that's wonderful. Did you get a chance to train with them at all?
I didn't really do any training. By the time they were there, my characters don't really fight with their characters. Uh-huh. So there wasn't really any need for me to do any choreography or anything with them. And really, by the time they got there, my characters, the bulk of my characters' fights were already finished.
Fair enough. Now, who do Misha, Chris, and Holly play in the movie?
So in the movie, Misha plays Jabs, and Jabs is the sort of teacher that takes. Jabs is a person. She runs a gym, and she's had sort of this street and kind of legitimate fighting career. And she takes in Tori's sister Windsor and teaches her how to fight, because basically she's getting her butt kicked all the time. Okay. In the knockaround. the knockaround girl's really happy to protect her, and Jabs kind of feels sorry for her, so she takes her in and kind of literally whips her into shape. And there's going to be some really great scenes for that part of it. You guys are going to love it. And so that's Jabs, that's Misha's character, Jabs, and she's kind of been in our area for a while. And then Holly Holm plays Peyton Walsh, and that's a person that we see Jabs fight early on in the movie. She's kind of just, we all have like these people in the film that we kind of keep having these repetitive run-ins with. And Holly's character is the person that Jabs sort of is butt heads with a few times throughout the film. And then Chris Cyborg plays this really great character named Church. And Church, yeah, that's her name. And I have to say, you know, Church, though we don't see her a lot in the film, is a very, very important part of this film and the plot. And wow, I mean, if you're looking for a person that's supposed to be this scary, like strong, intimidating girl, how can you beat using Chris Cyborg in that role?
Yeah,
I mean,
you can't get any more intimidating or physically impressive than her.
And the funny thing is, in person, she is so funny and fun and just will laugh for a half hour straight. I mean, I had her crying laughing. She is one of the most fun people I have ever met in my life. But she just has the perfect look to play like the street bully that Church, the character of Church is. And so definitely you see Church like interacting and fighting with a lot of the girls in the film, which is great because Cyborg is obviously amazing at fight stunts because that's what she fights for a living. So
she's one of the best in the world.
Yeah, and so it didn't take anything, for the choreographer to be able to take her and say, okay, here's how we do it where you don't actually punch the person, or, here's how you flip them over when you're, like, not trying to hurt them when they land. And she just did it, like, so great and flawlessly. She was just amazing. So is, Misha and all the rest of them.
Right. All right, so how is the movie going to be released or distributed? How can people get their hands on the movie?
Well, all that right now is sort of being looked into. There are definitely people who want this film. So I think that it's just going to depend on the distributor ultimately that we select. So at this point, it's hard to really say when or how because there are multiple options on the table, I guess. That's usually all I can say about that.
Oh, perfect. Well, definitely keep us updated as far as all that goes. We'd love to let people know as soon as they would be able to watch this film. It sounds like a riot. It sounds like a really good time. It sounds like people in the MMA community cannot wait to see this film. I think it's going to be awesome.
Oh, yeah, it's action-packed. You guys are going to love it.
Well, I can't wait to see it. Well, Kari, thank you so much for your time. I do appreciate it very much for you taking the time to speak with us. And best of luck with the movie. And keep us updated with anything as far as the distribution and the release date of the movie as it goes.
Absolutely, sure. Well, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. It was a pleasure. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.
Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
You too.